There we go. There's me. Let's talk about Trey Lance. I think it was a good move for the Cowboys. I mean, 4th-round pick. It's very hard to get a quarterback anyway. There's not that many good quarterbacks in the 4th round. If you look at quarterbacks this year taken in the 4th round, we have guys like Hayner, Toon, DTR, guys that you're taking shots at that might be something, that might not be. And basically, Dallas got a backup quarterback or a 3rd-string quarterback for almost free for like another 2 to 3 years. This year, next year, in 2025, they want to pick up the option. For my Dynasty people out there, just hold Trey Lance. I think Dallas can actually help him develop. The kid's smart, struggles with mechanics, but he can read the defenses. He can see it. Mechanics are a big issue. He's still young, 23 years old, just turned 23 years old. Guys are older than him, like, Kenny Pickett, Hendon Hooker, Stetson Bennett, Tyson Bagent, guys like that are still older than him. That's still getting shots in this league. And even guys like Baker Mayfield. Baker's had a chance. No reason for me to believe that Trey Lance doesn't also get a shot in the NFL. And, I've been seeing a bunch of people talk about, Trey Lance upside. You got to be the guy, and then redraft, he's going to go off. This reminds me so much of Anthony Richardson, all the talk around Anthony Richardson this year. I love Anthony Richardson, don't get me wrong. Kid is amazing. Upside's insane. Freak athlete. Got a perfect 10 on Math Bomb for athleticism. But he struggles. He's one of the worst passers of the ball in all of college football. He had like 33 to 40% percentage-wise of accuracy, and he struggled with completions all offseason. And in the preseason, he just didn't look as good as people are expecting. I mean, here, look at this. People have Anthony Richardson finishing as high as top 5. Win My Fantasy League says he's going to be a top 5 quarterback this year. No. If we look at the history of quarterbacks in their rookie years, we forget 2021 with Trevor Lawrence, Mac Jones, Davis Mills, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Look at these. These guys all got picked up besides Davis Mills, got picked up in the 1st round and bust their first year. Look at this. 18 Mac Jones, 22 Trevor Lawrence, 30 Zach Wilson, 31 Justin Fields. Anthony Richardson has to be a top 10 quarterback this year to justify where he's going in ADP. I'm fading Anthony Richardson this year. Dynasty, I'm still fading because his price is too high. Sell Anthony Richardson this year, right now, and then buy back after the year. I do not see any of these rookie quarterbacks being Young, Stroud, Richardson, finishing above top 15. I don't see it. After the year, you can buy back on these rookies because everybody's going to label them as busts. All right, let's take a look here. Fantasy Pros right now has Anthony Richardson at rank 11. If we looked at his completion percentages just the preseason, 13 for 29. Bad. Sailing balls, yes, I've been watching some of his players have dropped balls, but he's been making bad plays as well. Do not draft Anthony Richardson in redraft this year. Also, still fading him in Dynasty. 102 in Dynasty is crazy. I'll pass. All right, and then we got to talk about Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs just got his 1-year contract. Now we're seeing a bunch of these running backs now get that 1-year contract. Hopefully, Jonathan Taylor either gets traded to the Miami Dolphins, somewhere nice, maybe the Chiefs, Bills, wherever else, and gets a contract. Or hopefully the Colts just, all right, you know what? We have to pay the guy for a year. Let's do it. Hopefully he gets his contract or his contract extension because I know he's on 2 years. If you can, wait until August 29th to do your redrafts. By then, there's the Indianapolis Colts are supposed to have a trade done by then. Maybe even one happens today. But I'm still drafting Jonathan Taylor if I can get him lower now than I probably will after 29th. The risk is there. The contract situation is taking into account his current ADP. But now that Josh Jacobs is got his contract, it's pretty much set in stone that he's going to be a lock or second round, third round pick in redraft. The window for him is closed. All right, let's take a look at some of these the running backs here going in ESPN live draft trends. All right, right now you could have got Jacobs potentially in the second round. Yeah, probably the second round. Maybe in a third. I don't see that happening. He's going to start shooting up draft boards. Dude's going to be elite player this year. Gets his touches. I think he'll be more involved with the passing game as well. I like Josh Jacobs still. And Jonathan Taylor going at pick 28. For me, Jonathan Taylor talent is a generational prospect. Generational player. The kid has already done a RB1 season. He's huge, fast, good blocker, and has reliable hands. I myself took Jonathan Taylor back in July on my Scott Fishbowl league. Jonathan Taylor, if he gets traded to the Miami Dolphins or even gets a contract, he will still be an elite player. Keep drafting him. I'm doing it myself. All right. Let's look at the rest of the players that I'm fading at current ADP. I already mentioned Anthony Richardson. I'm out Anthony Richardson. People are saying he's quarterback 10. We just saw rookie quarterbacks do not finish in the top 10. Historically, they do not. Every once in a while, there's always one player that does. But why would you take that risk? There are other options beside Richardson. Another one is Joe Mixon at running back 9, Alexander Madison running back 23, and wide receiver Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 3, Keenan Allen, Dalton Kincaid, and Cam Akers. If we look at some of the players going around there, right? So let's take a look at Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is going off the board at like pick 10. Excuse me, pick 27. I'd rather have guys like Jonathan Taylor, Travis Etienne, even look at some of the wide receivers going around there in rounds 2 and 3. AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, Calvin Ridley. I've even seen Stephon Diggs fall. He's also a solid one too. Joe Mixon has legal issues. He was not amazing last year. Age is catching up to him. It looks like the coaching staff absolutely loves Chase Brown, and they've been featuring him all preseason, and they want him to get involved. And the coach on the Bengals has a history of always doing a committee, and I have no idea why he decides to have, like last year, he had Samaje Perine as the third down back, even though, in my opinion, Mixon's a better pass catcher. I think what you'll see more of this year is Chase Brown will take some of the snaps and the carries away from Mixon, but Mixon might also get featured more in the passing game. I'm not sure. At pick 9 for running backs, I'll pass on that, man. ETN, Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, all these guys are the lead backs on our team. I wouldn't pick Najee Harris because I'm still not a big fan of him. He's slow. I need to see more from him. But I would rather have Taylor and ETN. ETN is a pass catcher. That dude has speed, has size, will be getting pass catchers from Trevor Lawrence. And he'll be getting carries as well. Am I worried about Tank Bigsby? Not necessarily. We know that the Jaguars head coach always has done committees, even on the Eagles. But he always has his best running back starting and getting as many touches as he possibly can. I'd rather have Etienne and Taylor here. All right. And our next one was Cam Akers. I love me some Cam Akers. Guy from Florida State. Great running back prospect. But you know that Achilles and the Rams themselves are pretty much done. They're not going to be the Rams with Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford when they won the Super Bowl. That team will struggle. Matt Stafford's getting older in age. The defense on the Rams is not as good. They traded Ramsey. I mean, Aaron Darnold's also getting older. Not a fan of Akers at his current price here on a running back 25 and pick 80. I'd rather have guys like Javonte Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift, Brian Robinson, or Antonio Gibson a little bit later, like a whole round later. Why? Or even J.K. Dobbins. Featured back on the Ravens. DeAndre Swift featured back and pass catcher on the Eagles. One of the best offenses and offensive line in all of football. Javonte Williams, yes, I understand the knee is a concern, but I mean, Akers has an Achilles. I'll take Javonte Williams because at least I know when he's been playing and when healthy, he puts up numbers. And eventually, I think towards the end of the season, and I get to some of this, the sleepers and league winners, Javonte Williams could be a potential sleeper and a league-winning running back down the stretch. All right. Now let's take a look at the receivers that I'm fading here and where they're going in relative to their ADP here. All right, so the next one is Cooper Kupp. He's already having hamstring issues. He's 30 years old. Matt Stafford is not the same Matt Stafford we had. He's been having shoulder issues, back problems. The offense as a whole is not as good as it once was. At pick 3 or 4, that's a lot. That's too much for me. I don't see Kupp having another 2021, 2022 type season, coming back and being the wide receiver 1, especially at his age, and he's already dealing with an injury. I'd rather take shots Stephon Diggs, who's paired with Josh Allen. I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver 1 of the Dallas Cowboys. Dak loves to throw it. And A.J. Brown, wide receiver 1 on the Eagles. Garrett Wilson or Amon-Ra St. Brown. Guys are going to get fed the ball that are going to be in good offenses that'll win games, and a lot of them are going to have to get in some shootouts in their divisions. Like Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, their divisions, they're going to have to be putting up numbers. Especially if CD or AJ Brown go against each other in the NFC East. That's going to be a shootout, and they're going to have a lot of those games this year. Or even the Detroit Lions in their division as well, with the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. I think there's going to be high-scoring games. All right. Let's take a look at some of the tight ends. I'm fading Dalton Kincaid. Right now, he's going on tight end between either 12 to 15. With recent events happening in Denver, losing KJ Hamler, Tim Patrick, and now Jerry Jeudy dealing with that hamstring injury. All that's been left are Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims, and Greg Dulcich. I'd rather have Greg Dulcich over Dalton Kincaid because even last year, Dulcich showed that he was a very reliable tight end, has separation, reliable hands, great athlete. Question is, though, will Sean Payton actually like Greg Dulcich over his Saints boy that he's been all over and he's been getting involved more? I'll trust Greg Dulcich, the talent and the situation, losing all those pass catchers. I mean, even Okonkwo and Everett are also solid options. Treylon Burks is dealing with injuries now. Gerald Everett, last year, he looked great with Justin Herbert. They developed a chemistry. Top 10. Upside's already there. It's already established. Dalton Kincaid, rookie. He'll be splitting targets from Diggs, Davis, and even James Cook. Maybe Dalton Kincaid can be something for a slot, but I also believe in Dawson Knox. They paid Dawson Knox, and they're going to use him. All right, and now the last receiver we're looking at is Keenan Allen. I love Keenan Allen, the talent. I love the fact that the dude's one of the best route runners in all of football, but the age is there. Last year, I was all in on Keenan Allen because it was like Herbert, Allen, they're going to do amazing. They're going to be top 10 numbers. But the injuries, that hamstring injury all year long was a problem. And you need to be on the field and get that production. I don't project Allen being healthy the entire season. And I also am a believer in Quentin Johnson. Quentin Johnson seems to be having a nice connection with Justin Herbert all preseason and even in the offseason as well. I'd rather have guys like Amari Cooper, Christian Watson, Deebo Samuel, and maybe even Calvin Ridley falls to you instead of. I'd rather have those guys instead of Keenan Allen because the upside, the quarterback situation, them being younger, healthier, more reliable. You could take a shot at DeAndre Hopkins now that Treylon Burks is also injured. Hopkins, we know, is an elite wide receiver, but man, that offense is going to be bad. It's going to be run heavy and maybe a little bit of targets sprinkled here and there. Again, Christian Watson's down there. We know that he had a great rookie season last year. Jordan Love and Christian Watson seem to have a nice connection when they got to play together for a short time. Rather have those guys over Keenan Allen. All right, let me see here. Alexander Madison, I forgot that as well. Just take a look at Madison here. People are big fans of Madison because when he was given the full workload when Dalvin Cook was out, he put up RB1 type numbers. He's older now. He's going to be struggling with injuries. It seems like the Vikings want to be more pass happy this year and get Addison, Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson more involved in their offense. I think the Vikings are going to maybe do a 60-40 split. Madison getting 60 and then maybe 20% goes to either McBride and then 20% goes to Ty Chandler. I don't know. Ty Chandler also looked pretty good in the preseason this year too. I'd rather take shots at guys like James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Javonte Williams, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift. Even take a shot at Brian Robinson, who even was getting a bunch of the bulk of the carries last year too. It seems like Ron Rivera also likes him. I don't think I would draft Alexander Madison that high. All right, let's move on. Let's take a look at some of the projections and rankings that I have. All right, so my quarterback one for the year is going to be Patrick Mahomes. I broke this up into tiers. So if you want, I'm gonna probably post this in the description below. That way, you guys can find my rankings and you can use them in your drafts. So the top portion, 1 through 7, is going to be your Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Justin Herbert, Hurts, Lawrence, and Lamar Jackson. Tier 2 and 3, pretty much if you're one quarterback leagues, Tua, Dak, Fields, Cousins, Watson, Jones. And here's kind of where like the quarterback dead zone is, and you can maybe just take shots at upside. Rodgers, Geno, Goff, Wilson, Purdy, Carr, Pickett, Young, etc., etc. I like to filter these things by points per game, and on a points per game basis, on average, how many points they're gonna get you. Right now, we're seeing Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts actually go in round 3, 2 to 3, and I've been finding myself drafting quarterbacks early and then stocking up on running backs later. So I'll go through my draft strategy in a little bit, and I'll show you guys the teams that I have right now in redraft, and we'll break down some more of my rosters and potentially drafting the league winning team. All right. RB1 for me this year. For me, it's a toss up. I think it could either be Saquon, McCaffrey, or Bijan. If Jonathan Taylor gets traded to, the Miami Dolphins or somewhere else, he would also have a shot at being your RB1 for the year. Historically, I can't pick Austin Eckler because it's been a long time since the RB1 last year has finished as the RB1 next year. But who knows? Maybe this year he could change it. Maybe, maybe it's a random. Maybe it turns out to be, I don't know, J.K. Dobbins, Swift, or maybe Najee Harris decides to resurrect his rookie year and maybe take over. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. I've been getting myself a bunch of receivers in the first couple of rounds because I think I can get running backs later. Guys I'm targeting later are like Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, Dobbins, Swift. But you could go running back, hero running back, whatever strategy you like. Basically, for this year, I would recommend drafting the best player you can that's available for your team. So I've been going like Jamar Chase first round, and then AJ Brown the second, and then third round I'll draft either Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, or excuse me, Jalen Hurts. And then round 4, I've been getting Mark Andrews. Like Mark Andrews in round 4 for me is a no-brainer. By then, you're already in the running back dead zone. You're already in the wide receiver dead zone. Might as well get the tight end 2 with tight end 1 upside, and you don't have to worry about it. You set it and forget it. But we can talk about later too. Maybe what would you do if you missed out on either Kelsey or Andrews? What would you do? Right, we'll get there. So wide receiver 1 for me this year is Justin Jefferson. I could see it be Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek Hill, or even Diggs. Guys like these should be I have no idea how Stephon Diggs has been going in the second round. I've been getting Stephon Diggs in either late first or second round. He needs to be going in the first round. He puts up points and will be the wide receiver 1 on the Bills. Chase, he has the most upside out of this bunch here from 1 through 6, but he has a target competition with T. Higgins, as well as Joe Burrow liking to pass the ball around even to his other wide receivers. Jamar Chase also has that insane yak ability as well. I've been getting Jamar Chase at pick 2. I have never seen in any of the drafts that I've done, seen Jefferson not go 101. All right. Some other guys that I think that should go in the round 1 are A.J. Brown and C.D. Lamb. 2 other guys that you could get in the second round because Adams, Cup. I've even seen Garrett Wilson go in the first round. So come second round, grab guys like Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Garrett Wilson. If you want, you can get him late too. But once I get to my teams, you'll start seeing some stuff. So some guys that I like that you can get late that have upside potentially, even looking here now. I like to mark, the players based on, here's my rankings on the left, and then pretty much tiers of league winner and elite and like good. I really find myself drafting Drake London quite a bit. I think he'll average a good amount of points per game, but I have him lower in terms of talent because he's with Desmond Ridder on a Falcons with Kyle Pitts. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk. I love Brandon Ayuk, the talent, but he's going to be getting targets, splitting targets with Debo, Kittle, and CMC. Who knows what else Kyle Shanahan has planned. And now that Brock Purdy is a quarterback, we saw last year that Brock Purdy absolutely loved George Kittle. And he spread the ball out evenly pretty much to Ayuk and Debo. Michael Thomas, as always, is slant route boy. Somebody else maybe get late. Marquise Brown, I think he'll be a target hog. But that Cardinals offense is just bad. But I have no idea who else they have. I'm a big Clayton Tune fan. I think Clayton Tune might actually take over the starting job over Colt McCoy, maybe week 3. And Clayton Tune has been fairly accurate throughout his college career at Houston. I'm a big fan of the guy. I watched him during the preseason. He looks good. I think he'll be a nice starter, and he's just probably feed Marquise Brown the entire time. Jahan Dotson is another one with the Terry McLaurin turf toe injury. Dotson in his rookie year was phenomenal. He had a great rookie year, and I'm mad slept on. I'm a huge Dotson fan. He's a elite route runner with speed and arguably top 10 hands in all the NFL. I've been getting tons of Jahan Dotson late, and I've just been stashing my rosters. All right, let's continue. All right, so here's tight ends. I just have 2 and then 3 pretty much are just you're shooting in the dark. Travis Kelce's been going round 1. Andrew's at round 4. Everybody else, you're just kind of taking shots. If you want to take shots in, the 3 to 11 range here, get Hawkinson, Pitts, Freiermuth. I know a lot of people like Darren Waller, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of pretty much anybody after Andrews, but honestly, take your pick. The guys I would pick are Kyle Pitts, Hawkinson, Njoku, Goddard, Freiermuth. And all right, say you're just kicking the can all the way down on Titans, because I've seen people do this too. Then you get into the 12 to 21 range. Well, who would you take? Well, I already said I'd probably take shots at Dulcich, given the situation at the Broncos. And I'll probably go after that. Okonkwo on the Titans. Both guys that did very well last year. And I think they have more upside than guys like Jawan Johnson, Gesicki, Kincaid, just for the year, obviously. I guess I know Higbee's another favorite, but I think that Rams offense is going to struggle this year. You could do Dalton Schultz out of Houston. Maybe he becomes a reliable target for CJ Stroud, but rookie quarterbacks are not good. Like their first year would not take a shot on that. And kickers, basically, I just take the kicker that's on elite talent, elite offense. Tucker, McPherson, Elliott, Buckner, Carlson, Dicker, Santos, Gano, and Tyler Bass. Also, get your guys that are in the domes as well, if you can. All right, so here's my draft strategy that I've been basically doing for all my redrafts. Check the best player available relative to their current ADP. Meaning, take a look at the rankings that I have or the projections, whatever projections you use, whatever. I like to do my own. And figure out which player is available and which guys you can get later. Don't be so stuck on one person that I have to have them and you're going to reach or overdraft on some of the positions. Just take the best player available. Don't draft more than you need. And what I've been finding myself doing, because people are clamoring to get running backs this year, I don't know. I've been grabbing wide receivers early and then getting running backs later. But if you do that, you have to get an elite quarterback, in my opinion. You have to get one of those, uh, like basically top 3, top 5 quarterbacks to offset the lower production of your running backs. And having that 20 to 25 points per game every week will be beneficial for you. All right, if you miss out on Kelsey and Andrews, grab one, 2 rounds later and just shoot for upside. So that list I showed you, out of guys like Pitts all the way down to Zach Ertz, pick your guy. Pick one which you think is going to have the most upside, biggest potential. I can hear an argument for all of them. Kittle, Waller, Ingram, Joku, Goddard, Muth. I could hear an argument for all of them. That's kind of your pick. All right, let's take a look at my teams. All right, so on the left here, basically you can see here, I have Hurts, Mahomes, Herbert. And there's another one, my ESPN ones. I said and put it up here. I have Allen. So these are all gold to diamond leagues on the Yahoo app. I don't know if any of y'all are in my leagues in here watching, whatever. But here I went Diggs in the first round, CeeDee Lamb in the second round, Jalen Hurts in the third, and then Mark Andrews in the fourth, followed by taking shots at running backs being Javonte Williams, James Cook, Isaiah Pacheco, Alvin Kamara. And then I went and got DJ Moore. I got James Conner. And then I was just shooting for upside for rookies and potential league winners going forward. So I went Burks, Quentin Johnston, A-Chain, and then there's my kicker. I got the Seahawks defense. Another gold league in Yahoo, Pat Mahomes. So first round I went Chase. Second round went A.J. Brown. Third round went Pat Mahomes. Fourth round went Mark Andrews. Then went Breece Hall, Damian Pierce, Javonte Williams, Swift, Checo, Cook. And I was shooting for upside with receivers, since I don't know what happens with Trey McLaurin's turf toe, but Dotson. And given the wide receiver position on the Ravens, seems unclear to me. So I went with Zay Flowers, rookie out of Boston College, solid player. And Jameson Williams, guy you can probably stash in your IR in some leagues just because he's suspended for the first 6 games. All right, next one I went with Diggs. All right, so this one I tried going with the running backs, right? I went running back in the first round, and I don't know. I just didn't really like this team the way it turned out, because I was like, man, I feel like I could have got better value on rounds like 3 and 4. Let's take a look. So I went Diggs first. I went Barkley first round, Diggs second round. Third round, I went Andrews. Yeah, Andrews. And then I went Herbert, Brees Hall, Drake London, Javonte Williams, Watson, Evans, Marquise Brown, and I was shooting for upside. Charbonnet, elite level running back out of UCLA. He's on the Seahawks in case Kenneth Walker gets injured. You have that option right there. He'll be an RB1 on the team. Take over Brian Robinson. Should see a bunch of touches and carries, even some goal line work on the Commanders. And then Treylon Burks on Tennessee. Take a shot on him. Maybe he's a wide receiver 1 on the team, maybe wide receiver 2. All right, so here's some potential league winner players that I've seen that you can get in each of these rounds. And if we look at their schedules late, maybe they'll help you out in the playoffs. So Brees Hall has been going in rounds 4 and 5. Reports saying that he's healthy, shouldn't be an issue with the knee. Yes, I understand that Dalvin Cook signed with the Jets, but he was bad last year. The efficiency on him was bad. He struggles, and we all know that he also struggles with injuries. The Jets plan on keeping Brees Hall healthy and using him to win games and win down the stretch. They will use him in the passing game as well as goal line work if he's healthy. I'm drafting Brees Hall at his current ADP. I'm trusting the generational talent and his opportunity going forward, even in the playoffs. The schedule looks decent down the stretch from 15 to 17. And then Bijan Robinson, you could take at round 1. I haven't been able to get Bijan in pretty much any of my drafts because you either have to take him at pick 3 or 4. You could take him at pick 1 or 2, but I would rather have Jefferson and Chase over Bijan. Bijan will get a bulk of the carries, will get the pass catching work. We all know that Alex Smith loves his running backs and always running the ball. One of the easiest schedules out of all the running backs for weeks 15 to 17, but I worry that maybe the Falcons don't make the playoffs or maybe they just don't care down the stretch and they take Bijan out because they want to keep him healthy for next year. Don't know. It's a shot you're taking, but opportunities there. Easy schedule. Elite running back. And then Jalen Hurts is another one. Tough week 15, but the rest seem pretty easy. Easy schedule down the stretch. Hopefully he's healthy so he can dominate those last ones for you. Calvin Ridley, easy schedule, and Trevor Lawrence is wide receiver 1 going down the stretch. Dobbins, easy weeks 15 through 17. If he's the wide receiver, or excuse me, if he's the running back 1 on the Ravens, should do well, maybe get you 12 to 15 points a game. And then 2 wide receiver rookies that I think will do well for their teams going down the stretch. So Quentin Johnston and Zay Flowers. So QJ is a wide receiver out of TCU, freak athlete, first round draft capital, has that connection with Justin Herbert. He's been doing really well in preseason. Love the talent and love the situation. I don't project Mike Williams and Keenan Allen to stay healthy the entire year. But, I mean, probably since I just said QJ and Zay Flowers are my wide receiver ones for the down the stretch, maybe for the teams. They'll probably end up being wide receiver 3s and the other guys take over. But the talent's there for Quentin Johnston. Absolutely love him. I'm taking him off waivers and even in the last couple of rounds of draft just for the upside. Flowers, mentioned earlier, we don't know the target competition. Obviously, we know Mark Andrews is wide receiver 1, but tight end, obviously. I don't know who's going to be the wide receiver 1 Rashad Bateman can't seem to stay healthy. He's been dealing with that Liz Frank injury. Had surgery coming in his rookie year. I don't know. We don't really even know much about Rashad Bateman anymore. And OBJ, yes, definitely got all the money in the world, but he's been out of the league for quite a while. I'll take Zay Flowers here at rounds 10 through 11 to 12. So sleeper picks, I already said QJ, ADP 96, lead prospect at TCU. Big fan. Antonio Gibson is another one, pretty interesting. I think Gibson can take over as that JD McKissick role, and maybe Brian Robinson doesn't stay healthy. Then we could see a bunch of Antonio Gibson. Yeah, I know Ron Rivera is not a big fan of Gibson, but guy is a elite running back in terms of athleticism. Elite athlete. Flowers already said. DeAndre Swift, elite athlete, slash prospect behind one of the best O-lines in football and one of the best pass catchers in football. People forget that DeAndre Swift, when he was in the Lions back in 2021, when healthy, was a top 10 running back. Even last year, top 10 running back when healthy. The issue is, can he stay healthy? Hopefully this year the Eagles use him right. They use him in a pass catching role as well as getting some of those carries when needed and open space. And Dotson is another one I like. Been drafting a bunch. One of the best route runners football. That turf toe with Terry McLaurin. And I mean, Sam Howell's got to throw to somebody. I think Dotson will be Sam Howell's best friend in the slot and short range and flats and slants. I think he'll be Sam Howell's best friend this year. All right, switching gears here. I'm going to take a look at a roster that was sent in to me by one of the fans. And we're going to take a look and think about things in a dynasty perspective. And, sometimes some people forget that redraft absolutely matters when it comes to dynasty. People react just so fast, and people switch on players after, week 5. Come October, people will change their mind about players and start trading, getting rid of, I'm going to tank, I'm going to go all in even more. And they don't even care about the future because all they care about is right here now. And when we see players do well in a redraft, perspective, it affects their dynasty. So even last year, right? So we can take a case of Jalen Hurts. Last year, he was going in rounds 2 and 3. We could take a look at Trevor Lawrence as well. Because those guys did well in the redraft perspective, they just shoot no draft boards. And obviously that has to do with growth and improving. But depending on how a player does year 1 or year 2, whatever they do, redraft affects their dynasty, value. So let's take a look here. So here we got Lamar Jackson, Tony Pollard, Swift, Cooper, London, Goddard, Godwin, Watson, White, and Dak Prescott. Followed by kicker, Jeremy Chin, L'Jarius Sneed, and Quinton Williams. All right, so we'll get to bench later. Who else do they have on here? All right. So Lamar Jackson, top 10 quarterback, top 5 quarterback this year. If he finishes as, QB 3 this year, his value might even go up. I don't see his value going lower than it is now in Dynasty, so keep him. Tony Pollard, man, this guy is going as a running back 7 in redraft. And I've even seen him go as a running back like 5 in Dynasty. I don't know why. As a Cowboys fan, I go Tony Pollard is 26 years old. He's ancient in terms of running back age. We just saw Jerry Jones kick out Ezekiel Elliott out of the team, and he's on a franchise tag. I have no idea why people are still paying, a first and a second for Tony Pollard. Yes, I understand you want to win, but why not go get a guy that's actually younger and you can actually pay the same price? Right. So let's take a look here. So look at Tony Pollard here, right? 11. Why don't you go get, Travis Etienne? Why don't you go get Ramondre Stevenson? Pay a little extra. Go get Jahmyr Gibbs. Maybe even take a shot at Najee Harris. I mean, guys that aren't going in the same area. I mean, is Pollard even going to be healthy the entire time? We don't know. He's still dealing with that broken ankle. And it's pretty well known now that Jerry Jones absolutely loves Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn's dad called his son and said, come to work with me. If you can, try selling Tony Pollard. DeAndre Swift, keep him. Everybody's just second. Cooper, keep him. London, keep him. Goddard, maybe you could take some of those picks that you have and maybe upgrade your tight end. Godwin, I think that team's going to struggle, right? I think the Bucks are going to struggle this year. Seems like Baker's going to be the starting quarterback, but it could be Kyle Trask later on. So let's take a look here. All right, maybe you could offshore those shares for Chris Godwin to like Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, Michael Pittman. Maybe pay some extra, wait for later in the season, depending if QJ, say Flowers don't do well, start off, or one of the receivers, they don't do well, even Addison, maybe go buy one of them if Godwin does well. Christian Watson, keep him. Rashad White, not a fan of Rashad White. Maybe go get James Cook, maybe Miles Sanders because he got that contract. Try getting rid of Rashad White and, maybe improve the numbers as well. I know a lot of people like him this year. He's still young. He was a very great athlete out of Arizona State. Good hands, reliable pass catcher. He did well with Tom Brady. I think he's going to be splitting carries and splitting reps with Sean Tucker as well as some of the other backfield I just don't want to have to deal with. All right, let's take a look here. So I would say consolidate your draft picks and trade for veterans and young players that will help you win this year. So maybe you want to, trade Quinn Johnson off your team for maybe you can upgrade and use one of those first for CeeDee Lamb or Jalen Waddle, Olave, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Higgins, or even Tyreek Hill will help you win this year too. And he's has an extra 2 years besides this year too. Maybe consider trading Dak and upgrade a quarterback, maybe even downgrade and get Cousins and maybe a first round pick. If you can, try to get Mark Andrews. I think right now he's going around 3 and 4. I'm having it in a bunch of redraft leagues. I think he's gonna be great this year. Consider trading Goddard and first or some picks, or even doing Goddard and Chris Godwin. Maybe you could do that for Mark Andrews. Some things I'm thinking of. All right. That pretty much concludes that portion. Just a quick touch up on the Scott Fishbowl where we're at, and I'll close this out. All right, so we got Scott Fishbowl. I had a draft. We drafted back in July. I don't think I've shown anybody my team. But here I have Trevor Lawrence, Jonathan Taylor, Etienne, Calvin Ridley, Quinn Johnson, Cortland Sutton, Kittle, DeAndre Swift, Isaiah Pacheco, Daniel Jones, and some nice roster depth. So in this league, running backs and quarterbacks, tight ends are king, and wide receivers are kind of hit or miss. They have to be essentially 2021 Cooper Cup to compete with, your regular running backs 1 through 10. So I just went running back and tight end and better quarterbacks, and then shot for upside on receivers. And maybe I'll have to take out Quentin Johnson and put an Adam Thielen just to start the year off. But I'm excited for this team throughout the stretch. All right, and that concludes this podcast. I'm excited for the 2023-2024 season. I'm going to link my rankings in the description. Just edit or just the view only mode. Feel free to text me. You can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Buffs. Love to hear from you guys. Feel free to DM me. If you're in my leagues and you're watching, good luck this year. Wish everybody the best on my Yahoo leagues and my ESPN leagues. Have a good season and good competition. And if you like the video, share the video. I appreciate you guys joining in. And until next time, I'm out.